Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name is Preston and I'm here with Sam. Say hello.
Hello, you're getting better at it.
I know, I'm practicing.
Hmm.
Um, Off camera, just saying it over and over again.
Yeah, into the
Uh,
into the mirror.
yeah, definitely. So this week we have the super pre-release, so we are planning on showing you all the decks that you're gonna see, so that you can decide which deck you're gonna play, and so you have an idea of what your opponents are playing, so you have a little bit more insight and know what their strategies are and know what your strategies are going into the tournament so that you can take the dub. Today, as you can see in our wallpaper, we are bringing the one, the only, the Baroque Works was he Mr. Zero? Uh,
Mr. Zero.
Crocodile.
That'd have been a cool little thing. Like, imagine this said Mr. Zero instead. But
Mm-hmm.
I just realized we didn't get a Mr. Prince, and now I'm kind of upset about it.
That's funny.
I'm kind of upset.
Tilted from the start of the video.
uh,
We can start with the leader as one should always. Crocodile. A very interesting effect that will have more use the later the game goes on.
Absolutely. For activate, 5 main, -4 Dawn, return a character with 5 or less cost to owner's hand. There's going to be some interesting things with this because a lot of the cards that are your highest targets are on play effects, thinking like Law, like Queen. Um, in the mirror, I guess it would be a little better because you could bounce Croc, or it would be starter Luffy, the SR, which is not a card you would ideally like to bounce. You'd rather kill it. But there's a lot of all the highest cost targets for Croc are cards you might want to avoid. But we'll get more into that as we go into the deck. Yeah,
It's an interesting leader effect that probably will see more play the more comfortable people get with this game.
I I fully agree with that. And let's just get into the deck. Let's go through some of the pros. And one of the easiest pros that I diagnose is if in the deck it has a 2 cost or a 2 counts, it's very good. Start with Love Beam. Love Beam is an excellent 4K combo. And if you have 3 or less cards in hands, you draw. This is a secondary effect that I would try to aim for. I any draw power in this format is amazing. Try to do this.
Yeah.
Sent tomorrow as well. Sent tomorrow we featured in the Croc deck list that we posted. Put it right here.
Okay.
We run it at higher counts. We run more pacifistas. So this is not a card we would shy away from. This is a card I'd argue you want a mulligan for. If you can pull this and start summoning all these pacifistas from your deck,
Hmm.
you're gonna win.
Yeah, as we saw in that fight night from last week, we should probably promote our stuff up
Link
there.
that too.
uh, Centaumaru and Pacifistas are a massive threat that can turn the tempo around, getting more and more character cards on your board so that your opponent can't defend against all these big threats. Um, it's a nasty little combo that once you start it, if they don't tap it, it's hard to get rid of also, right? Because Centaumaru doesn't tap himself. It's
I,
just
I, I
two
would I would recommend not attacking with it until you have all your pacifistas or until you feel comfortable attacking with them.
and it's the only card I believe in the starter decks that lets you look at your deck.
Yep, it's true.
So that's a big thing in most card games. If you know what's in your deck, you know what's in your life, and you know what you can play around and what you're playing towards. If you get early Sin tomorrow and you see that your Doflamingos are prized, you can play to gain them into your hand when you want them.
Sure.
That is now an extra hand. You don't know what card in your life it is, but you can play around the fact that you know there's a Mihawk, there's a Crocodile, and a Doflamingo in your life, or there's like on play triggers, you know they're there. You can
True.
play around that fact so that you can use them and take life when you want to.
Absolutely. And I think we're gonna get to that eventually, but we can get to that now. That I think the red and the green starter decks are going to be the easy choices. They're going to be the ones that people are going to probably cater to because they're good. This deck is probably going to require a little more mastery. I think this deck is not as offensively powerful as red or as defensively powerful as green, but it's somewhere, it's lukewarm. It's somewhere in the middle. It's definitely going to take a lot of comfort and a lot of master to be proficient with this blue starter deck.
Hmm.
Next couple cards, Drake and Gecko Moria. Drake Mihawk is your best way to see and draw more cards. Drawing 2, then discarding 2 with each attack. You have a lot of easy cards to discard, like Jinbei, Buggy, maybe Boa Hancock if it's in your hand, depending on your board state. And Gecko Moria is a card that could retrieve Drake Mihawk because he is your only 2K counter. So you don't always want to play him because he is a 2K counter, but he is a very good when attacking effect, so sometimes you have to play him.
Yeah, one of the cards that's going to move the most cards around your deck. You draw 2, discard 2. It's a card that you want to play, but also as a 2K counter. So if it does get killed, at least you can Gecko it back and hold it as a 2K counter for the late game, which is really interesting little turn of events that you can play, and your opponent might not super expect it.
Absolutely. Then the SRs, Crocodile and Doflamingo. Crocodile is really good into red and green off the top of my head. There's a lot of real low attackers that can be very aggressive. I'm thinking about things like Sanji. I'm thinking about things like Eroge. There are a lot of real low attackers that can be offensive powerhouses, and Crocodile really just is the remover of these cards. This is a card that is teched 1 or 2 in regular formatted decks as it is now, so it's not a too shocker that this card is incredibly powerful in this format as well. And then Doflamingo. We talked about bouncing cards from your field to your opponent's hand and worrying about on-play effects. But the name of this deck is Tempo. You want to control the board state. You want to have the numbers advantage. So don't be afraid of bouncing things that have on-play effects. And if you could hit a 7-cost character with this effect, you probably just won the game, because they have to spend a whole another turn reestablishing that creature, which they might not be able to do now that you have Doflamingo on the board.
Super powerful to bounce big cards.
Kid.
Other cards that, yeah, kid, that would be disgusting.
Mm.
Other cards that bounce in this deck is Teach and Thrustpad Cannon.
Both of
So
them.
cards that you don't want to bounce with these are your opponent's 2K counters.
Please don't.
Don't send Brooks back. Don't send
Apu.
Scratch Poo. Don't send Mihawks back, and don't send Ultis back.
Don't send LTs back. You can't send those back with these guys, so you're good.
Are they all higher?
Yeah, they're 4s.
Okay, so some of those you can't hit, but even with like Dofi or whatever, you don't want to send 2K counters back, because then they gain that advantage of being able. They already like pushed forward with that card, taking away that counter advantage and then giving it back to them would be not advantageous for you.
Absolutely. If you've been watching our blue videos, you can send your own stuff back. If you're looking to send your own stuff back, the highest target would be Kuma. Kuma is the another way to see more cards. You're able to peep the top 3 and then move them however you want. This is a card you can send back to your own hand, or if you played an early Buggy or a Jinbei and you just want that 1K counter back into your hand, you can always send that back.
Yeah.
Thrustpad Cannon is another card I just wanted to lightly touch on. We are very familiar with Overheat when we play blue cards. It's a 4K counter, and it sends a 3 or less card as well to your hand. The only difference between these two cards is this card doesn't say active, so this actually can stop attacks like maybe the Zoro. It'll just send them back to their hand, so their attack just fizzles. Zoro, for green, it would be
3 or less. Arugi is 3 or less.
Rugi, yeah. This will hit Sanji as well. Yeah. Another big one.
Yeah. And it doesn't hit much of purple attackers, because I think purple's going to be attacking with just high drops. They're going to persist to the late game and attack with big cards.
Yep.
So thinking of like disadvantages for this deck is, since it's a control deck, there's a high mastery level, like you were saying. It's going to probably be a little bit difficult to play if you're not super comfortable with it. Hopefully you've had a lot of time with this deck and you've gotten your strategies down, then you might be able to put a lot of pressure on people that they don't expect, because I don't know how many blue decks you're going to expect to see in this format, especially if you get to choose your deck at the beginning. I don't know how many people are going to choose blue first. So if you're really good, you could throw off an entire tournament by sweeping with blue.
I would fully agree. I think blue. I don't know about purple, but everything else, it seems like there's a decent way to win. Especially if we're mulliganing for cards like Sentomaru and Mihawk. If we could pull those, I know they're only 2 counts, but if we could pull these really high factor cards into our opening hand, you'll have a much higher percentage chance of winning. You do have answers for basically everything. You do run 4 Sobbles, so you're able to really control tempo no matter what the deck is. So if we play our own strategy, you have a decent chance of winning a lot of your matchups. Cons, like we said earlier, this deck doesn't do a lot of things proficiently well. It's not incredibly aggressive, so we can force it into making maybe we're spending early resources. There's not a lot of blockers in this deck that you want to play. Like Law's the only one. Boa Hancock for 3. I don't imagine a lot of people are going to be playing.
Unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. And yeah, if you run late, which is what green specifically would want, you do have options as well. They really can't play Kid against blue, so you have that advantage as well.
Yeah. It's a solid mid to late game, and all of the controls should give you a good option if you choose to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've been scrimming with it and practicing and stuff, you do have a good chance. It's just
Yeah.
a lot harder to win every match with this specific starter deck.
Not a clear win con. It definitely will vary match to match. Like maybe sometimes you'll pull Centamaru. Maybe you'll actually hit a Mihawk into Croc into Dofi, which would be amazing. Congratulations, you absolutely just won. You just won. But it's definitely going to cater to each match and match. So you're going to need to be able to stay optimal. You're going to need to play whatever cards you draw, and yeah, I root for you. I love when blue wins.
Yeah, if you win, post in the comments down below after the tournament, and send us a picture of you with that.
Yeah, flex us.
Promo. Yeah, definitely flex if you play blue, because you're incredible and you're probably going to be taking some major championships in the future.
Yes.
But I think that's all we have for the Crocodile starter deck.
Yeah.
If you like this video, let us know in the comments down below. Hit that thumbs up. If you want more One Piece TCG content, hit subscribe, ring that bell to get notifications when we post, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.